Hey, what's up? Dilio with another video. And in this video, we're going to talk about the Q knobs on the MPC. I believe this is something that is overlooked and I don't see too many tutorials on, so I thought I'd take a moment to show you guys from top down a little bit about the Q knobs. So let's go right into it. Let's go to the screen. So as you can see, we got the MPC one right here. For Q knobs, what do? Well, Q knobs sort of take some of the functions and they're contextual. They'll take some of the functions that you see on the screen and move them over to physical knobs so that you don't have to click and drag your faders all the time on there or use this knob here. These are a little bit more intuitive to use, and as you can see, if you touch them, it'll let you know what they do. So if I highlight that first there by selecting that, by holding the Q-LINK button down, when I tap that, we can see what this is. So for example, say I got a whole program here. If I want to turn the whole program up and down, I want a program tab. Turn that up and down. Or maybe I want to do a few different things. So we're going to show you all of that in this video. So in order to really get under the hood with the Q knobs or the Q-LINK knobs, hold that button down right there. This is the same thing on the MPC Live and 2. You hold that button down, you get these different options right here. You got project, program, pad, parameter, and screen. Screen typically stays on what's going on screen at the same time. So if I were to hit that kick drum and then go to sample edit, we can see that that Q right there represents different things. So if I were to turn this, that's 1,000 times samples, 100 times 10 and 1. Okay, so let's go back to the main and let's tap on project. So when we go on project, what we have here is our main outputs, outputs 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6, 7 and 8. These are physical outputs that are on the device itself. So in this case on MPC 1, we only have 2 outputs. So therefore, you're only going to get 2 outputs on there. If you're like on the MPC X or like the Live, I think the Live gives you maybe 6 or 8. I don't know. I think it's 6, and then on the X you get 8. And you can pan those outputs. You can mute them. All those kinds of different things right there. So that's what the project is. So let's go to program. And just once again, a quick reminder is that if you tap the Q-LINK status right there, that'll turn it off. So whenever you touch it, you won't see anything. But if you go there and turn that on, this is a great indicator to let you know what the value is. So with Q-LINK pressed, program is pressed there. Got the kick drum right there. Snare right there. If I turn this, we see that program volume is right there. If I want to pan the whole program, I can do this like this. Side note, these things can be automatable. So if you want to pan something left and right, you can do that and write that automation. Okay, let's say I want to pitch up or pitch down the whole program. You can do that right there by tapping that area. And it's going to 3, or you can do it like that. But if I go to 3, and notice that there's an order to it. So the lower knob represents that knob right there. So master semi-tune. So that can be automated. Same thing right there. You got volume. You can definitely pan your programs. You can also affect the send. So if you got your effects on 1, 2, 3, and 4 different effects there, you can send that there, right? And then you can also add other things. So that's program mode. So once you have that there, the Q knob will not represent anything on screen because it's set to program. So to go back to screen, if I tap screen, now this will represent things that are on the screen. So it's very important to remember that in case you're reaching for the Q knobs and you don't see it affecting the exact parameter that you want it to do. Let's go to the pad. This is probably the main one I like to do because when I bring in a new sample into my program, I like to mix it and get it sitting in the mix how I want. And typically what happens is I drag the program in, then I hit the square button, and then I have to go here and then I do there and I lift it there. But what if you could just drag your program or your sample into your program and then just go for right there? You got pan, so if I want that pan on the left side and I want that kick on the right, if I want to pan that back in the middle, go to the second knob, bank 1 right there, pan it to the right. Right? So let's see what other parameters we have. So these kind of go a little horizontal, so it's a little bit tricky. So this is knob 1, 2, 3, 4. You can also set different send parameters from these individual pads on your program. So you got 128 pads on a program if you want to go that far. You can also affect the cutoff. So if I were to tap this here and go up there like that, notice that if you tap these while holding the Q-Link knob, you will go straight there. So if I want to go to filter cutoff, let's listen what happened. We got the filter going on. If you want to add some resonance. We can change those filter settings. Open it up there. So, and then we also got amplitude, decay, sustain, and release. You can affect those for there. Got to keep those things in mind because you're looking at it from a horizontal way, and then it goes that way. So I guess it would have been better if it was arranged vertical, but you know, for whatever reason they did that. And of course, if you want to look at where the setting is, just tap that, and you see that's there just like that. Right? Okay, so let's go ahead and move over to pad parameter. Now, pad parameter is pretty simple there. There's not too much to go off of there other than the level. And, you know, I wonder if I hit shift, does that change anything? Probably doesn't change anything. So, and that's a little tricky because you don't know exactly which ones you're hitting. So obviously, you know, 1, 2, 3, 4 represents 1, 2, 3, 4 here. So if I were to turn knob number 2, I'll have to go here. Now I got knob number 2 here on this level. So as you can see, when you have that first number lit there, and I think it looks like that on the MPC, the light number 1 goes to these first 4 right here. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4. Then you do it again by highlighting number 2. And see, that's why I wanted to walk through this, because see, it can get kind of confusing because you're like, okay, that's number 2, but what? Once again, 1, 2, 3, 4. Level 3 right there. 1, 2, 3, 4. Vice versa. So if I want this sound here, so that's the pad parameter. You know, I think this works best when you got an MPC X because you got all 16 there and they're all arranged in the same order physically as they are here. So, you know, each pad has its own parameter. So you could probably adjust level and mix there and pan there, mute and solo by the pads on MPC X. But we don't have MPC X right now, but that's going to change one of these days. So, and once again, we're back on screen, and now we can go back to contextual things here. So obviously, to see what those things are on the screen in the context, you have to hold down that button, Q-Link. So if I want to go to sample edit and I hold that button down, look at these, the parameters have changed. Now we got edit to start by 1,000 samples, 100, 10, 1 sample. You can change the looping right there. Select your slice. You can scroll, you can zoom. So if I go to 4, and if I want to scroll, this is kind of a small, but there you go. You can scroll right there. And this is cool, but see how that, see now we have that in the way. So if I hold this down, turn it off, now we can look at the wave sample a little bit better, and we can zoom right into that waveform. Okay. But again, I like to use that there and put it back on screen. So if I come out of there, notice that the context has changed. Let's say if I go to mix, if I hit that pad again, the context has changed again. So now I know that these two right here represent the volume here for the programs. And here's another thing you want to keep in track of, because this represents programs. So there's 2 programs loaded onto this whole project right now. So you're just going to see 2 programs there. So these are almost like sub mixes, but not quite, but you can treat them like they're sub mixes because you got a collection of samples coming through on this program here. You got a collection of samples of programs on there. The volumes for those 2 separate programs can be adjusted right there. So if I turn my drum kit all the way down, and if I go to the main window, and if I go to the kit, you can see that, boom, the volume is down right there. If I go back to the mix, track 2, program right there, turn that up, turn it all the way up. Main, we can see that my program is all the way up. And this also goes for a lot of things. You want to mix, go to pad mix, there you got your pad mix. Same context applies. So if I want to change those two right there, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So the kick is right there. Look at that. Snare. Turn that down. Oh, I want to pan it. You can do that right there too as well. I could pan that back over here. Remember, I just turned that down, so go back to level. So it gets very deep as far as how you do this. But just know that, you know, if I were to give you a final tip, I like to keep it on screen, my main, and then when I'm producing, I like to mess with pads individually. So I go to the pad scene, and long as I know that I'm on 1, I know that my volume is here, and my pan is there, and I can get to that very quickly while I'm in the heat of the moment creating a beat. And also know that you can change the pitch of that pad. You can do all kinds of different things, which is really cool. So for instance, if I go to level 3 and then tuning, which I know is the last knob, number 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. So you can have fun with that. And you can also automate it. I mean, you can have all kinds of fun with that. So that is my tutorial. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe, help me grow this channel. I need your help. Please help me grow this channel. And I'll get out here. See you on the next video. Leave your suggestions and comments below what y'all want me to teach on. I could teach on Ableton. I could teach on FL Studio. I could teach on Machine. I can teach on Studio One. FL Studio, did I say it already? What else? I don't know. Let me know. Let me hear from you. All right, I'm out. Peace.